So yesterday I did a group presentation for my marketing class, and I actually have like a lot to say about this marketing class because I had like a love-hate relationship with it, I guess. So basically, originally I wanted to take a class that I thought would actually be useful for like the real world or whatever. So I was like scan and rate my professor, and I found this marketing professor with like a 4.8 like out of 5 or something. It was like pretty high. So I was excited to like learn and shit. But basically, it came to my attention like early on in the class that this professor was like super inflexible and like pretty harsh, honestly, in a lot of ways. Like for the exams, like on the syllabus and shit, he was like, "There's no exceptions for any reason if you miss them, even if it's an emergency, like it doesn't matter." And there were like no like late extensions or anything. So that was sort of like a red flag. But like over time, I just kind of learned that this dude was just kind of like an asshole, just like as a human being. And maybe this is more common in like business classes since like the environment just kind of like advocates for like right wing like capitalism, or at least in my case. Anyways, every few classes or so, he would just go on like random tangents about these like increasingly morally questionable business practices that he would do. And like in the first like rant he did, he talked about how he had this like ticket broker company, and I was like, what the fuck is a ticket broker company? And then he went on to state that he just bought up a bunch of like concert tickets and then resold them for profit, which is like a confession to being a scalper, basically. So basically, after that rant he gave, I began to have like this like undying hatred for him, and I kind of dreaded going to his class after that because it's like a super scummy practice that adds like zero value to like anybody's lives. And then like later on, he literally said that he owns a bunch of like Airbnbs, which is like arguably a lot scummier. And like I think like owning like an extra like house or two is awesome for like generational wealth, just like buying up like a shit ton of like properties that families could own or whatever. I think that's pretty shitty. But anyways, like one time we had a debate about like price discrimination, which is where different people get charged different prices for the same thing, which sounds kind of bad at first, but this is like a pretty fundamental concept in our society. Like financial aid for college is technically price discrimination, and I doubt many people want to like abolish financial aid. I don't think there's any movements like that. But anyways, I was not really like talkative in this class, but I decided to pose like an example to the class, like for whatever reason. And I was like, what if you like provide an essential service to like everybody? Like what if you're a dentist in Los Angeles who has like a bunch of like rich clients that can pay a lot of money for these essential services? And like in this sense, if you were to like quote unquote like overcharge them, like couldn't that like subsidize the services for the impoverished or people who couldn't pay full price? And that was like not taken well by the professor. I instantly got called like Robin Hood and like stealing from the rich. And it was just like a lot. But anyways, getting to the presentation. So like I literally show up and I raise my hand so that my group can go first because like I just like to get it out of the way like really quickly. And two of my group members pull out literal trash bags from their backpacks and they start dressing themselves in these trash bags like fucking like Roman like togas. And okay, basically the context for this is that like in our presentation was about like recycled clothing and like luxury brands, but like I did not get this memo. So like they just randomly pulled out these trash bags. I just fucking jaw dropped. And the funniest part was that like we went up to present and nobody said anything, nobody laughed, nobody acknowledged the trash bag fits. It was fucking hilarious. The only purpose the fucking trash bag served was being like obnoxiously loud every like 2 seconds because it kept like crinkling because we were like lined up and we had to like for the next slide every time we would like move like to the back of the line. It was bad, but it was amazing. So that's pretty much it.